Written, directed, produced, and starring the weird and mysterious Tommy Wiseau, this shoddy excuse for a romantic drama film was shown in a limited number of California theaters in the summer of 2003. Independently financed on an astronomically inflated budget of $6 million, the film failed to earn back even $2,000 during its initial run. The lumbering 99-minute story focuses on a nonsensical love triangle between Wiseau, Juliet Danielle, and Greg Sestero, with mostly all the action taking place in two small, badly decorated sets. The dilemma faced by this unmotivated adultery feels like a rejected concept for a Lifetime movie. Wiseau is featured front and center as a bizarre, depressing loser whose curious accent and piss-poor acting single-handedly ruin every moment the film attempts to craft. Besides appearing decades older than his 20-something co-stars, the European protagonist often laughs at inappropriate moments, exhibits wild mood swings, and begins nearly every greeting by saying, "Oh hi!" Unable to remember his lines that he himself wrote, much of his dialogue was sloppily dubbed in post, the resulting performance so indescribably bizarre it's like an alien masquerading in human form, unfamiliar with our nuanced Earth customs. Suffice it to say, casting himself in the lead was an insurmountable misstep, and the single worst acting performance in the history of cinema. The story is so horrendously written, you begin to wonder if this screenplay was a result of that age-old riddle involving 1,000 typewriting monkeys. There's a number of irrelevant non-sequiturs as well, like a now cult favorite scene where the guys throw a football around an alleyway wearing tuxedos for no discernible reason. The haphazardly delivered and unrealistic dialogue is bad enough to make you want to scoop out your own eardrums with a spoon. But even with a flawless script, the loathsome acting here immediately sinks any chance this movie had at succeeding. Danielle might be sexy eye candy, but her inclusion in some of the cheesiest love scenes imaginable won't even get the horniest teens aroused. Later, she attempts to defend her cheating habits by saying, "You have to live, live, live." Sestero appears to be the only one in the group aware of the disaster they're producing, but being the fastest snail in a group still doesn't make you quick. Years later, he actually wrote a book discussing his turbulent experiences making the film, which was recently optioned by Seth Rogen's company for a film adaptation.
Women change their minds all the time.
You must be kidding, aren't you?
Look, I don't want to talk about it. I'm gonna go upstairs and wash up and go to bed.
How dare you talk to me like that? You should tell me everything.
I can't talk right now.
Why, Lisa? Why, Lisa? Please talk to me, please. You're part of my life. You are everything. I could not go on without you, Lisa.
You're scaring me.
You are lying. I never hit you. You are tearing me apart, Lisa.
Why are you so hysterical?
Do you understand life? Do you?
The story is also rife with inconsistencies and plot holes, not the least of which are threads involving breast cancer and a loan shark debt, which are completely abandoned as soon as they're introduced. The background music might as well be a cheap demo track built into a child's keyboard, because it sounds just as bad. From a technical standpoint, Wiseau isn't entirely incompetent. Most of the scenes are decently lit and adequately framed, but he tends to go overboard with foreground cluttered tracking shots. Hilariously though, Wiseau was not familiar with the difference between film and video, and ended up shooting the entire movie on both formats simultaneously at a ridiculously unnecessary expense. The R-rated mess is ostensibly nothing more than a poorly constructed, non-erotic softcore porno that repeatedly repeats itself. Seriously, Danielle shares near-identical dialogue with her mother in 3 separate scenes. The film Entertainment Weekly famously dubbed the Citizen Kane of bad movies was promoted by Wiseau with a single billboard on Highland Avenue in Los Angeles at a cost of $5,000 a month for 5 full years. If I had to guess, I'd say Wiseau was burned by an ex-lover early in life and produced this entire mistake of a film as some sort of therapeutic revenge. The unfortunate result is an illustration of the dangers of an unfettered and misguided dream. Only seldom and unintentionally entertaining, this is a dreadful experience I hope I never have to see again. The Room, a horrendous auteur's regretful disaster. Now let's see what you had to say in the YouTube comments. Here's our ratings for The Room, a 2 and a 1. While you were justifiably critical of this picture, you also found a great deal of amusement out of it, and rated it only a bad. Laughable train wreck or not, it's still a train wreck. There's nothing really redeeming here. I thought it was garbage.